Hey guys, so we're coming up on the end of 2012 and our first year of video reviews, and Joanna and I wanted to give you our list of our favorite games that we reviewed this year and who we'd recommend them to. Now, we've mostly stuck to newer releases or games that were new to us so that you don't get bogged down with listening to us talk about our favorite games that we've been playing for years that we've already talked about a whole lot.
So the first game on my list is Stone Age. Now when I first picked up this box and looked at the game, I wasn't all that excited about it, didn't think it'd be anything new or interesting, but I've had so much fun with this game. I love the combination of strategy and randomness. I love the fact that you can forward your own agenda and at the same time you have to block other people as well. There are so many different paths to victory, so many strategies to take. Also, the theme, really interesting, really different, never seen that before, and the art and the components are great. So I would recommend this game to anybody who likes a lighter game, but with enough depth and strategy to get your teeth into and to keep you interested. I'd also say bigger groups, so probably 4 people is the best way to play this game.
So possibly my number one game of the year is Mage Knight. This is really the first game that I've enjoyed playing as much solo as I have playing with a big group, although it works really well for big groups as well. It's a really immersive game. The theme is awesome, and the way that your character levels up means you've got a serious investment in what's happening to them. At the same time, it's got some amazingly challenging resource management mechanics, and the way that the cards and mana and the enemies interact is really, really hard and really neat. It's a real brain burner, but it's not tedious or really all that fiddly. This is a game that I would absolutely recommend for anybody who's a little bit of an RPG geek and wants to get into the board game equivalent of that, anybody who likes a real challenge, and anyone who sometimes finds themselves alone but still wants to play a really good board game.
So the next game on my list is Eclipse. Now, I really think Eclipse's gameplay, for the most part, is incredibly well realized. All the game mechanics in it, to me, make exceptionally good sense. Everything's intuitive. It feels like an epic space exploration game, but it's only 30 minutes per player, which means it's quick and it's really accessible. It has got a lot of bookkeeping and a lot of sort of keeping track of numbers and that sort of thing in it, but it doesn't feel like a hassle. It feels like part of the game. It feels like, you know, you just get on with it and move on, and it's great. I'm glad that they managed to get there with this game. I would recommend this to anybody who loves epic space exploration, but maybe doesn't have the 8 hours to put aside for a game of Twilight Imperium.
My favorite brand new release is Seasons. I've been playing this game over and over and over since it came out, and what's really striking about it is how many different paths to victory they are. Every single time I've been trying a different strategy, and they're all viable. There's just so much depth to this game. It's also got absolutely gorgeous components. I don't think there's any game that's got anything quite as cool as the dice in Seasons or art as nice as the art on the cards. And it's a game that I've been able to teach in 5 minutes and play in an hour, so it really gets a lot of mileage. I'd recommend Seasons for anybody who really likes working out complex card combinations and building neat energy and sort of point building engines, while at the same time having a really interactive game where they're constantly moving and constantly planning ahead and constantly competing with the other players.
So another game on my list is Discworld, Ankh-Morpork. Now, Discworld is light, it's fun, it's easy to learn, but it's still got enough depth and enough strategy to it that you can really, dig your nails in and have a really good time and stay engaged. It's also got a really, really hilarious theme. I mean, anybody who's got that Terry Pratchett sense of humor is going to find this really, really funny. It's kind of a mind bender as well. I mean, if you're trying to keep track of what everybody's doing and everybody's secret objectives and trying to block everyone at the same time, it can be very challenging and really, really fun. So I'd recommend Discworld for anybody who loves a party game but wants a little bit more depth and a little more strategy to keep them engaged. And also anybody who likes that deductive mechanic that comes up in games where you have to figure out what everybody's doing, there are secret objectives involved, that sort of thing. It adds an extra element that I really like.
Next on my list is Claustrophobia, which was a great new addition to a genre that I think is a little underrepresented, and that's two-player tactical games that are not traditional war games. Claustrophobia has a great theme that's super engaging, and it's also got these amazing asymmetric mechanics, so that not only does each side have different objectives, but they're also playing in completely different ways, which really adds to the experience and the competition of the game. I would absolutely recommend this for anybody who wants a tight, challenging two-player game. It only plays in about 45 minutes, but every second of that is tense and engaging. It can be a really fun game for couples as long as you don't mind some intense competition, and it's really, really great.
So next on my list is Red November. Now, I have never come across a game as unique as Red November, and I love the fact that it can be so quirky and yet still be a fantastic game to play. I love the timekeeping mechanic. I think it's great. It's also got a hilarious theme. This is a game that you're going to be laughing all the way through when you play, and yet it's still incredibly satisfying to win and actually quite difficult. So I would recommend this game for anybody who really likes a challenging cooperative game. And if you have a really silly sense of humor and you like funny themes, well, that's just a bonus.
One of my favorite new games is Last Will. A lot of traditional Euro strategy games tend to leave me a little cold, but I was completely absorbed by the hilarious Bankruptcy theme of Last Will, as well as the mechanics. It does a really neat mix of worker placement and card combination that's challenging, engaging. It provides a lot of variety and replay value, and especially because you have so few options in the worker placement, you really feel like every action you take counts. I also really love the mechanics that govern the real estate market, both the ways in which you can manipulate that and the way you have to think around maintaining and buying and selling houses. It's really challenging and it's really fun, but it's super fast to play. I'd recommend Last Will for any fan of strategy Euro games that's also got a solid sense of humor, and anybody who's usually been turned off by traditional Euros because they lack an engaging theme and wants to get more into the genre.
So the next game on my list is A Game of Thrones. Now, this is a little bit different from some of the other games on my list. This one has almost no randomness in it at all. It's pretty much a strategy game, and it is incredibly immersive in its gameplay. Really, it's very, very true to its theme, and it is beautifully illustrated with gorgeous components. Even if you have never read or seen the George R.R. Martin Game of Thrones material, you're still gonna really dive into this world and really enjoy it. I think that this game is fantastic for anybody who loves strategy games. However, you do have to have a group that's okay with the fact that it's gonna get really, really competitive, because it always does.
The last game on my list is Bunny Bunny Moose Moose. Not only was this hands down my favorite review to film, but it's also got a really solid game at its core. Bunny Bunny Moose Moose is a challenging party game that relies on the fact that it's really hard to do somewhat intense math in your head at high speeds while making bunny ears and moose antlers. It's a huge amount of fun, it plays quickly, it's really easy to introduce, so it's a great kind of filler and party game, but it doesn't feel dumbed down like a lot of lighter material can. This game is hard and you're gonna have to work for it to win. I'd absolutely recommend Bunny Bunny Moose Moose for anybody who wants a great game to take along to conventions and use to make new friends, as long as they don't mind looking a little silly, as well as anybody who wants a good family game that's fast and challenging and light.